Hello, everybody, and welcome to Golden Rosa Tarot. Thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to do, and it's Friday, I'm in love reading. So we're going to explore the topic of love, and this is not limited to like a romantic relationship. This is just a sort of universal meditation on love. So regardless of your relationship status, hopefully you'll find some interesting things to think about. These readings are not predictive, they're just a fun exploration on a topic. So let's get started. Thank you for being here. So first we're going to start with some tarot, and we're going to say, Dear Spirit, what would you like us to know about our journey, our path to love and wholeness as human beings on this planet? We got 3 cards popping out right off the bat. All right, really powerful cards coming through today. So we have the Queen of Wands, we have the High Priestess, and we have the Magician. So the Queen of Wands is relating to the element of inspiration, fire, spirit. I like to think of the Queen of Wands as sort of the ultimate witch. Like she's got like, you see that in this illustration, she has got her little fox friends. She's playing some music. She's talking to a tree. She's very empowered. She's a very magical existence. She has a crow on her head. And what comes to mind with the Queen of Wands for me always is to light your own fire. Whatever is happening in your life, we always have the potential and the opportunity to be inspired within. As you can see, she's not with any other humans in this picture, but she is very much engaged with life in all these different ways, with the world around her, with her own innate creative expression. And so that's a beautiful reminder for us in our path of love, wherever we're at with that, to remember that that inner spark, that inner inspiration is always available to us. We always have the ability to light our own fire, to do what inspires us and makes us happy. And that also helps when you're going to meet someone too. If you have that confidence about yourself, if you have that vibe and that energy that you are fulfilled within yourself, then it's like you're bringing something to the table that's exciting and like mysterious if you have your own thing going on, right? Next we have the High Priestess, and this is a card which deals with the intuition. It deals with sort of the unseen forces of our lives, the deeper stories, the big stories. It's interesting that we have the High Priestess and then also the Magician, because they're complementary energies. The High Priestess, I've heard it described as the High Priestess allows the story to unfold through her, as opposed to the Magician, who takes all the elements at their disposal and creates something. So there's not a right or wrong approach when it comes to love in our lives, but it is interesting that both of these kind of polar energies are showing up, that there's a time and place to be intuitive, to go with the flow, to allow the divine to work its magic, and then there's a time to take action, to take what we have at our disposal and make things happen in the world. And that's sort of the dance between the divine feminine and the divine masculine energies that each of us already has within us. So it's not an energy that we need to seek out in another person. It's learning to balance both of those flows, both of those energy currents within us, so that we are fully magnetic and lit up and inspired by our lives. Like sometimes there's a time to sit back and take a deep breath and go inward and let the divine work through you. And then there's a time to take action and say, these are the tools I have, these are the desires that I have, I'm going to go out and do this thing. And somewhere down the middle between those two paths is I would say, the most fulfilling way to approach the subject of love in our lives. So, yeah, very interesting. Interesting cards we got today. Light your own fire, and you do that by being fully in tune with both your feminine receptive energies and your masculine active energies. So let's take a step back now in time, and let's go in on our inner child a little bit. Go work with this inner child oracle, because as we know, we're often formed in our childhood to have certain ideas about relationships, and we can carry those with us going forward in ways that are healthy or not healthy, depending on how we were brought up. Carl Jung has this saying, until we make the until we make the unconscious conscious, it will rule our lives and we'll call it destiny. Something to that effect. So let's see, in response to these cards, what would Spirit want us to know about working with our inner child, with working with that sort of prima materia, that sort of where we're coming from as energetic beings in the world, and how can we alchemize and transmute, especially if we were not given excellent role models, which is often the case for a lot of us, right? So, dear Spirit, how would you have us communicate with and care for our inner child when it comes to love, particularly with these messages of lighting our own fire and of really balancing our own internal feminine and masculine energies? I think it's funny how some decks, like the cards come flying out, and other ones it's like it takes forever. Okay. Let's do one more from the Inner Child Oracle here. If you are interested in any of these decks, the tarot that I'm using is the Shadowscapes Tarot, and this one is that I'm doing now is the Inner Child Oracle, and I'll show you the guidebook for that in just a second. Okay. So this is the Inner Child Oracle Guidebook. It's by Amanda Lynn, I believe that's pronounced Aisling. So the first card we got was There is Hope Ahead. Have courage and take heart, for there is hope. And that is a beautiful message for those of us who've had a less than ideal sort of example of love in our lives, you know, in its many myriad forms that it takes. That there is always hope, that there is always a higher way of doing things, that there's a sort of divine order and that we can tap into that there's always healing available to us, there's always greater understanding available to us. We have this figure who seems to be moving towards these sort of almost castles of light, and these stars, which are very symbolic of hope and healing. And so no matter how difficult your life has been, and no matter how many disappointments you've had in love, it's always good to remember that there's always hope. We're surrounded by so much love in this universe, and it can be very easy to feel jaded when it comes to love. It's probably a very normal response to most of the experiences that we have in life, but Spirit wants to remind us that there is always hope ahead for us. And I'll read a little bit from the book. This life is a journey filled with many highs and lows. Sometimes a low can be followed by another and another until all that is remembered are the low places. It is at these times that it may seem as though there is nothing left to hope for, and all that remains are the ashes of what once was. If you have pulled this card, know that there is hope once more. The Wonderment Exercise. Now is the time to let hope in. There is so much good waiting for you ahead. There is a deep and divine love that is always present and always waiting to wrap you in its arms. You are held, you are loved, you are never ever alone. Reach out today unto the divine and be held by love. Very, very beautiful and hopeful message from Spirit today. The other card we got was Listen. It says your inner child has something to say. And that is a very powerful message just in itself, right? It's like a lot of the times we don't heal from experiences because we just don't allow ourselves to feel like how much something really hurt. Like, as children, we're often kind of told to, be quiet and be good and to not express how we feel. And when you're being given messages like that and simultaneously dealing with traumatic events that you don't have control over, it can become very easy to start to self-abandon. And when we're faced with a difficult situation, to say, well, the most logical thing to do here is to abandon my own inner child, and not listen to what it has to say and not feel what it has to like express, because it's just what's been conditioned into us. But then unfortunately, that leads us to staying stuck in patterns that aren't for our highest good. So it says our inner child is compromised of the many different experiences of childhood we experienced growing up. There is a 1-year-old inner child, a 10-year-old inner child, an 18-year-old inner child, and an inner child for every age in between. At various times in our life, different aspects of our inner child will need to be heard. This card indicates that an aspect of your inner child, one you have may not met yet, has a message for you. The awareness exercise is take time to connect with this new piece of you through inner visualization, responsive journaling, play, or intuitive art. Try to be open to what your inner child has to say. Many times in life, we repress aspects of our inner selves in a bid for safety. When events occur in our childhood that we cannot manage or understand, they become suppressed aspects of ourselves. Because of this, our inner child might bring unprocessed events and memories for us to work with as an adult. So there's sort of a message of, it's interesting because here we have this sort of complementary energies of be quiet and go within and be active and go without. And with this one, we have these sort of complementary energies of there is hope ahead, things can always get better. But you have to stop and kind of go backwards in time and work through the wounding that might be there from the past so that you can get to this more hopeful place in the future. Okay, so I like to do elemental readings where we explore the natural world and its messages for us. So I'm going to read from the Earth Alchemy Oracle, and this one connects us to the wisdom of plants and crystals. So let's ask our dear plant and crystal friends. Oh, wow. This one wanted to come out like so bad. I didn't even get asked the question, but welcome to the party. Okay. Dear Spirit, are there any other plants or crystals that would like to guide us in our journey of love today? So we got green epidot and star jasmine, resurrection, identifying, reframing, and enhancing. And then we got, and oh man, I'm not sure how to say this, anandalite, I believe, and lemon balm, integrating energies, awakening, and transitioning. So green epidite is interested in highlighting and enhancing structures that are not serving your highest good. It knows and understands the intricate details of the energy body and systems within us. Like a trained sniffer dog with a highly sensitive nose, it instantly finds disharmony within your body and analyzes that, the what, when, and why this blockage occurred. When going through periods of inner healing, the hardest part can be tearing down and letting go of everything you thought you knew. Then comes the realization you need to let go of and rebuild yourself into the light. You need to let go of so much to rebuild yourself into the light, taking us right back to the foundation. Epidite is a builder. It will help you live a more fluid life, lighting its energies through the hidden chambers and compartments where you have certain hidden emotions. Those feelings are now surfacing. You cannot run away from them anymore. At this point, it's a good idea to ask yourself, what feelings have you been running from, and why are you running or hiding from them? So this is a good crystal to work with if you're in that space of needing to listen to that inner child and let things come up to the surface that need to be dealt with. Epidite is a good ally for that. And coming through with that is star jasmine, the flower. Epidite was insistent that it is paired with its ethereal beauty. It is a climbing vine that grows fast and strong to reach the sunlight. Its energy is light and angelic, wishing to bring you clarity beyond this physical form, lifting you up to the heavens to connect with the angels. Her wish is to lighten your mood. The message and energy behind Epidite is Syrian in feel. Often this energy is masculine and serious. They're scientists involved in bringing through the healing wisdom of spiritual technology. This is where Star Jasmine comes in, to remind you of the lightness of life, to surround you in her white light and bring you positivity and openness and more energy. So these are some beautiful plants and crystals to work with to get that energy flowing, to sort of get those blockages dissolved, brought up to the surface, so we can get to that like higher state. And then also coming through, we had the Ananda light and lemon balm. So Ananda light, sorry, is the crystal. Lemon balm is the plant. It says, although Ananda light is a high vibrational energy and is noted for its power, the elemental guardians of the stone are assisting the flow and assure us it's not overpowering. They understand that in order to stabilize the heart, gentle waves of rainbow light are needed. Anything more would overwhelm and shock. She sings of harmony and holds that harmony through the heart. She is a true friend of the elementals and rainbow children, holding keys to their rainbow light. It is a natural crystal from the Himalayas which radiates an aura effect of colors. It was found fairly recently in 2010. It comes to support you through self-awakening, a talisman to help you realize your full potential, to transform and manifest new. She paves the way forward for you, highlighting new pathways open to you and new higher vibrational possibilities. Its name is Sanskrit for divine bliss, and this is what it wishes to lead you to with the help of the goddess who holds this stone strongly. So wow, this is a really beautiful message from this crystal, that it helps you once you go through the restructuring and you start to release the old patterns. This crystal comes through and integrates and brings a very like high vibrational love and like a higher frequency. And it's paired with the plant lemon balm, which is one of my favorites for making a calming tea. It's very top notch if you have some form of anxiety. Lemon balm is the member of the mint family, a caring older sister watching dutifully over you. I almost said duty. Never mind. Bathing your temples, dabbing her leaves to cool and soothe your racing mind. Her small, delicate white flowers come in awakening energy around the eyes and third eye, sparking action and waking you up to new ways of seeing and being. Her zingy energy clears and clarifies thoughts. She has such a caring energy, wanting to help you balance your mind and heart so you can have the presence of mind to process and integrate what you're moving through. Ananda light and lemon balm come to you in a sweet balm during soul transitions. So there's some beautiful plant and crystal allies to work with as we're becoming this Queen of Wands who's lit up from the inside and balanced in his or her feminine and masculine energies, or their energies, however you identify. So let's go now to the animal world, and I'm going to use this Animal Apothecary Guidebook by Cara Elizabeth. Let's ask our dear animal friends, dear spirit, what message would you give us on the path of love through our animal spirit friends? And we've got a rooster that says, get out of your head. Oh, it's a chicken. A chicken head, but technically that is a rooster, it looks like it. Okay. Oh boy. When you cut off a chicken's head, a burst of electricity runs through the body's nervous system, causing the chicken to run in circles and flap its wings. This is symbolic of the intrusive and obsessive thoughts we think and allow to run in circles around us, even though they rarely hold any real basis in truth. Chicken's head medicine appears when it's time to put an end to the chicken in your head, dictating your life. Witness the thought and understand you have power over it. Your power is to know it's just a thought, and if it minimizes you, it's not true, no matter how real it may feel. If it makes you feel less than and powerless, then know there's no way that it's true, because you are quite literally a scientific miracle connected to the infinite, ever-expanding universe. Chicken Head's medicine asks you to take a big sigh of relief, because whatever is currently keeping you in your head will work itself out. You are safe, and you will find the solution, and the issue will resolve itself. Whatever you are currently dealing with is for your greater good, no matter how much the chicken head tells you it's not. In fact, Chicken Head's medicine brings an exciting confirmation if you are dealing with a current situation that feels disappointing and has you obsessively thinking about it. You are being asked to understand that this difficulty has happened to lead you to what you truly want. For whatever reason, there is a lesson being learned, and in learning this lesson, you will lead yourself to what your heart desires. Chicken Head's medicine demands you get out of your head now, because everything is going to work out. All right, well, that's kind of a gruesome image. I'm like, okay. But it is true, when we're working towards self-love or love with another, that most of us do have a fair amount of baggage and a fair amount of voices in our head that were placed there probably when we were kids, saying that, you're not lovable, you're not good enough, you can't trust people, everyone's going to betray you, and unfortunately we do experience these types of things in life. They do happen. And I think the message that this card is trying to tell us is that when you can look at what's happening like really clearly, when you can get out of the sort of loop in your head, like we get into these loops where we think reality is a certain way, and so we act as if reality is that way, and then we create reality in that way, and so on and so forth. And so it's a message to get out of this sort of frantic looping mind, and to kind of really get curious about the things that are happening in our life. If you're having a difficult time with self-love, if you're having a difficult time accepting the love of another, if you're having a difficult time extending love or being vulnerable, to get really curious about that, to go to more of the place of the deep self, maybe through meditation, maybe through like cognitive behavioral therapy, to start examining our sort of assumed beliefs because a lot of where we get caught up in self-doubt and self-pity and just feeling that the world is against us is because we're running some programs that aren't, for our highest good. And it's not our fault that those programs got placed there, but unfortunately we are the only ones that can reprogram ourselves, and of course there's help, there's therapists, there's books, there's good friends, there's people that can help you get out of that looping mind and help you understand that you have true worth, that you have true value, that you are worthy of what you desire. And so, kind of a gross message on that card, but a good message all the same. So thank you to our animal friends. Thank you, chicken. And I'm not going to do a really long reading today, just a little check-in. So I'm going to go now to some Ascended Masters, and starting with Mary Magdalene. So this is coming from the Mary Magdalene Oracle by Megan Watterson. And if you're not familiar with Mary Magdalene, she was believed by most who have studied it to be Jesus's partner. She was definitely high up in early Christianity as a Christianity before it was taken over by the Roman Catholic Church, or became the Roman Catholic Church. It's a subject I've gotten into. I'm not a religious person, but it's interesting. It's interesting to kind of read about what they were really up to. So she was a great healer, a great teacher, and a partner of Jesus, or Yeshua. And so I'd like to get her take on sort of the human condition of love, because love was very much at the heart of what they were conveying in their message. This love to love each other. So what would Mary Magdalene have us know in the context of this reading about developing our capacity for love, developing our capacity for loving ourselves and each other? What messages does Mary Magdalene have for us today? Oh. I read jumpers, but that was a bit much. Okay. Let's get a nice clear message, please, from this deck, from Mary Magdalene. How would Mary Magdalene tell us to evolve our capacity for love? And we have the breath. I reclaim my soul. The Gospel of Philip reminds us, and I just once again want to clarify, I know that these are references to teachers in the Christian faith, and my reading is not a religious reading, but I do like to study different Ascended Masters and gather what wisdom I can from them. So please, if you're watching this thinking, oh, this is like a Christian reading, it's not. It's just paying attention to some of the lessons that have come through, these particular spiritual teachers, and you're free, of course, to work with them or not at your own discretion, but I just want to make that clear. So the Gospel of Philip reminds us that the breath animates flesh. We've come to life with the first inhale when we've emerged from our mother's body, and we leave this body with an exhale when it's our time for what's next. The breath is so simple that it's perhaps the easiest aspect of being alive to take for granted, and yet the breath has the power and potential to bring us back to life, into this moment happening right now, just as it did when we were first born. When we are trapped in one of the 7 powers of the ego, All we need to do is become aware of our breathing. If we can bring presence into the pain through an intentional breath, we can reclaim and remember our power to shift everything that comes next. We can take one intentional breath to return to the body and drop into the heart. We can take a second intentional breath to connect to the presence of love that rests within us, and then we can take a third intentional breath and surface, drenched now with that presence of love to guide us. 3 intentional breaths can change everything. Do not take my word for it. Practice those 3 breaths, especially when you don't want to, especially when someone's yelling at you, or when you're the one yelling, when you're furious, or when you're more anxious than you've ever been, and when you're about to react in hurtful ways to someone who is hurting you. Just before reacting, just before repeating a pattern of hurting and being hurt, stop. Take 3 deep breaths. Return to the heart. Reclaim your soul. Then open your eyes more anchored on how to love. Oh, sorry. Then open your eyes more anchored to how love might lead you. To kiss in Hebrew means to breathe together, to share the same breath or spirit. The Gospel of Philip reveals that Christ loved Mary more than all his disciples. He often kissed her on the mouth. It is through the breath that we experience a new embrace. So that what comes next isn't from the ego alone, it's also from the heart of who we are. It's straight from the soul. So that's a really beautiful message, and it definitely reminds me of the cards that we pulled earlier when it's talking about listening to our inner child, restructuring, even with the chicken card, like stopping the mind. If the mind is where we're holding on to these patterns that aren't serving us, then how do we start to get past the mind? And Mary Magdalene's advice to us today is that you stop and you drop into your breath, and you drop into the present moment, and you drop into your soul, and you drop into the love that you are, and then you react from that place, and then you're creating a new sort of vibrational resonance, and you're creating the track for a new sort of pattern to emerge, which can lead us to that hope card that we pulled, this sense that that we can change for the better, that things can get better, that life is always attempting to teach us and giving us lessons, rather than feeling like we're powerless in these patterns. So it's a very beautiful message. Thank you, Mary Magdalene. And I'm just gonna pull one more card here, kind of a shorter reading today, but I just wanted to pop on and say hello. This one is going to come from the Rumi Oracle by Alana Fairchild. Rumi is a very famous Sufi poet, mystic, but he writes a lot of good stuff about I would say like serving love, like really, really connecting to the spirit of love within. So, our dear brother Rumi, how would you advise us humans living on this earth in this difficult place with lots of lessons? How would you advise us in the ways of love and becoming more self-loving and loving of others, and in the evolution of our souls and the path of love? What advice do you have for us, dear Rumi? Okay, I went flying. Oh, we got 2. So we have a whirling goddess, and we have the right choice. We have 2 from the Rumi deck. So Rumi says, lose your head. Not a single thread that has a head can go through the eye of the needle. Come, my love, are you dizzy yet? If you can still find your feet, then that is okay with me. But if you can still find your head, I will take issue. That's interesting, right? We're getting like a lot of cards about like losing your head, like literally, which is pretty funny because like it is really kind of the antithesis of coming from your heart is to come from your head, right? They're very different energies. So I feel like we're getting over and over this message that to live in a state of love is to lose your head. You know? There is a great dance, but it cannot be danced with choreographed steps. No, this great dance demands a response rather than an initiation, a reaction rather than a direction. So let us disassemble and lose our heads to the great music, the rhythm held steady in our beating hearts. Our feet shall be moving whilst our minds, inadequate to the task, take the night off. There's somewhere you are meant to be. It is here, now, in this moment. There is a gift right under your nose and a fragrant wine in your glass, gleaming red as the most precious rubies. To be here now, you must pass through the keyhole, but your head will tell you this is not possible unless the door is unlocked, even though your body is passing through the keyhole of that locked door into the endless world beyond. Leave your mind to be in its struggles for a moment. Without you laying witness to it, your mind will become like a dog howling for its master's return, even as he steps out the front door. Frustrated temporarily, he'll chew on some shoes, then fall asleep peacefully until his master returns. So leave your mind trusting, chewing a little until you are truly through the keyhole, when it can rest. Leave it be. Instead, come dance with me. This oracle brings a message. You're at the point of growth where your mind can hold you back rather than urge you forward. If you have, like so many, used your mind to support you, to shore up your sense of self in the world, and to gain a sense of certainty about how the world works, then this would be no easy leap. It would seem as though you are being asked to pass through the keyhole. Of course, your mind will stop and argue for all the reasons why the door should be open instead of remaining closed, making the task seem harder than it needs to be. But this is the mind in resistance. Don't place too much stock in the claims that life is other than it should be. You're being asked to dance rather than understand, to lay the thoughts to rest and to come alive. It is the bravest, most trusting soul that dares put the mind to one side and says, "Tonight we dance, my heart and I, on the great rousing music of the beloved's beating heart. I will not miss one step." And then we have, to finish the reading, this card, The Right Choice. It's like a beautiful angelic figure. She kind of looks similar to this queen here with her wings. The right choice. Stay close to those who know about the heart. Choose the shade of a tree that is in constant bloom. Don't meander aimlessly among the herb sellers and the potion vendors. Go directly to the shop that sells nothing but sweets. Don't sit waiting by every boiling pot to have your plate filled. Not every boiling pot is cooking what you want. Not every sugar cane is filled with sugar. Not every down has an up. Not every eye has vision. Not every tea contains pearls. Within you I recognize my most trusted friends, and we go back a long way to before that moment when time began. We knew each other then, even before time was born. So I say, hello, old friend and dear friend, so lovely for us to meet again. And I feel how your heart responds with a wave of love, for it is that love that is you, my most trusted friend. On the path of love, there is not so much right and wrong in the moral sense, so much as what is right or wrong for you. The mind cannot help so much here. Once again, kick the mind to the side. Only the heart can speak such truths. The mind may reject it, recoil, analyze, and find all the reasons why the simple path, the right choice of the heart, cannot possibly work and can only lead to pain. And that's what the mind does rather well, actually. But it doesn't mean the right choice, the heart choice, becomes incorrect. It means rather that the heart has outsmarted the mind, and the mind will need to bow to the heart, even without understanding its sometimes impenetrable mysteries. Or one can choose to stay in inner conflict, fighting against the right choice. But eventually love will prevail, and the way forward must be taken. This oracle comes with a message for you. In your heart, you know what holds meaning for you. You may or may not have a grand vision to go along with that meaning as yet, but deep within, you know what is without value and what holds value for you. You were born with those values intact in your heart, and whatever confusion has arisen for you along the way is just where the values of others have transfused into your own blood. It is a time of transfusion of holy light into that blood, to be cleansed and purified, restored to its integrity, and filled with passion for what is rightfully yours, your unique passion and purpose. Which brings us full circle back to this Queen of Wands who's living with so much passion and excitement for their life. So anyway, that was today's It's Friday, I'm in Love reading. I hope that you found some inspiration here or just enjoyed hanging out, and I will see you next time. So much love and blessings to your path.